righty, everyone. Welcome to the final debate of the evening for District 1, which is basically the far east end of the county and the north central part. It's sponsored by the West Pasco Chamber of Commerce and the Public Policy Committee. There's still, if you want to fill out any questions, there are 3x5 cards in the back lobby, and we can take those. Our moderators are C.T. Bowen of the Tampa Bay Times. And I didn't say St. Pete Times once. And Tina Shelton, who's the chairman of the West Pasco Chamber. And our candidates are Rachel O'Connor and Ronald Oakley. And Debbie Wells. Real brief, the format is they will have a 3-minute opening statement, then each candidate will alternate with all the candidates or go down the row with the candidates. They'll get a question. Both of their opponents will get 1 minute to answer it. And then the original person that the question was asked will have a 30-second rebuttal. At the end, they will all have 2 minutes. And we drew names out of a hat to decide the order, or actually out of my palm, but that worked too. And with that, we'll start with the opening statement of Rachel. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank Pasco Hernando State College for having us here tonight and everybody here for attending, and to the West Pasco Chamber for hosting this wonderful event for us. My name is Rachel O'Connor. I'm running for County Commission in District 1. And I decided to seek this office because I realized that our wonderful county has now come to a critical crossroads. We have grown considerably in these past few years, and we have now reached a point where it is time for us to decide as a community what we want to become and where we want to go and how we want to get there. A Floridian and a longtime resident of Pasco, I grew up in Zephyr Hills, graduated from Zephyr Hills High School, and I worked my way through college, earning a bachelor's and master's degree in political science from the University of South Florida. Through my work as a regional field director for the Republican Party of Florida, I successfully managed a 5-county region and worked with state and local elected officials while developing an understanding of policymaking and the inner workings of bureaucracy. I want Pasco to stand on solid financial ground and work to receive its fair share of state and local aid in order to maintain and update the high level of services and investments in infrastructure that is so desperately needed here. As a county commissioner, I will work with state legislators to bring opportunities and state-funded projects back to Pasco. While I've held no political office prior, I have worked behind the scenes for many years to provide stewardship and protect the interests of Pasco and Florida. I've been a member of several community, political, and civic organizations and volunteer as a court-appointed guardian ad litem, advocating on the behalf of children entering the foster care system. As an active member of our community, I have a unique understanding of the needs of our county. And in the coming years, Pasco must focus on cutting regulation, investing in infrastructure, creating competitive impact fees, and streamlining permitting. Economic development is the cornerstone to creating a better place to live, work, and play. By supporting local business and enticing new businesses to come to Pasco, we can pave the way for job creation, a better quality of life, better support our veterans and animal services, and create additional revenue to help tackle our road and transportation issues, and better provide for our law enforcement and first responders, public safety, and supporting the libraries and parks, and most importantly, keeping property taxes low. So I look forward to the opportunity of earning your vote tonight. My name is Rachel O'Connor, running for County Commission in District 1.
I'd like to thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Ron Oakley, born and raised in Dade City, Florida. I have graduated from Pasco High School, going from there to Carson Newman College in East Tennessee, attaining an accounting degree, and coming back to the citrus business with my family. After Coming back here to start in the citrus business, I joined the National Guard and served for 6 years during the Vietnam-era war. And that service has been finally recognized by Gus Bilirakis, who also endorses me, and I appreciate what he's done for the veterans in our community. Also, I've worked in several different businesses during my career. I've been in business over 50 years. I've worked in the cemetery business, the funeral home business, citrus business for a lifetime, and in the citrus shipping business. I had a business that I started right in Wesley Chapel in citrus shipping, and also came over to Elfers and had that same shipping business right there at the Elfers post office, which we bought out the Armstrong Groves back in the 80s. So I've been in different businesses throughout my life. I know how to create jobs. I know how to work with employees, their families, and make sure that we make payroll. I've signed the front of checks for those employees, seeing that they got a good income and were able to have that income to take care of their families. We've, in our business, we've also been in a trucking business. We have 480 trucks with tankers delivering liquid food products all over the country. We've been innovative in different businesses. As you know, citrus is Oakley Groves Incorporated, is who I worked for my entire life, even though I worked for the different businesses in my career. I never was paid by anybody but Oakley Groves Incorporated. Through that, I have been able to get a lot of experiences and supported a lot of different groups and organizations throughout my community. The one lately that I have supported and I have founded was the John Anderson Benefit Concert that is on its 4th year, and I have just recently sold that concert out to 450 people having dinner and a concert right in our community, and there's 8 benefactors that will receive those funds right back in our community. And this is the 4th year I've done that. It's not based on what I've done, it's based on the fact that my sponsors and the people in Pasco County support all of the benefactors and the money, where the monies go. So I have been the past chairman of Swift Mud. I have been that chairman while I was there. I learned to take care of our environment and look after our natural resources. I'm Ron Oakley. I'm running for County Commission, District 1. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having us this evening. My name is Debbie Wells, and I am running for Pasco County Commission, also District 1. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my background. I think it's absolutely critical, if not imperative, that you understand your qualifications of your candidate. I am a businesswoman. I am not a politician. I have very deep roots in Pasco County. I actually go back to 1971 in West Pasco. So for those of you here that are from West Pasco, again, very deep roots. I am the only candidate here that has lived, worked, and owned homes in West Pasco, Central Pasco, and East Pasco. The reason that is important is because our county is very, very diversified. And I simply understand, having lived, worked, and owned homes in all 3 areas, the diversification of the counties. And I know during the debates tonight, a lot of people have mentioned the divide between East-West. I would be very determined, because I understand with my deep roots, to make sure that does not continue. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my business background. I have been 20 years in executive management, and I was with some of America's largest publicly traded companies. That opportunity, and why I hope that's important to you, is that it put me in the boardroom, and it put me as one of 4 or 5 in the leadership capacity. We oversaw 4 to 5 counties in our division. I made all the strategic decisions, again, as part of the leadership team for our counties, and what's important about that is Pasco County was one of the counties. I therefore have hands-on, very directly related expertise working with Pasco County. I understand the nuances. Some are very positive, some need some change, and I'm determined to make a difference. My background, the reason I think this is important, my business background, I look at things maybe a little bit different. I look at it strategically as in the business world, that your Board of County Commission is one of 5 CEOs for the county. You do not become a CEO without having extensive background and qualifications. I have that from my boardroom experience. Some of my experience, I'll just give you a broad brush overview, but I have experience in high-level budgets, and that should be important because we need to really look at our budgets here. Strategic planning, infrastructure. I've worked with EPA, SWIFT-MUD, and I have hired hundreds and hundreds of people. That's important because of our next county administrator is so important. We cannot get that hire incorrect. It has to be right. I'm known to be direct, decisive. I distinctly have proven leadership, and I now want to give that background back. It's the reason I'm running, and I call it servant leadership. You take leadership, and you want to serve the people. I thank you for your time. My name is Debbie Wells. I would appreciate your vote on August 30th. Thank you.
Finally, an East Pasco question. Yay. Okay. If elected as the District 1 Commissioner, you're going to be asked to consider the connected city corridor in Wesley Chapel and East Pasco. And specifically, that proposed ordinance would have the District 1 Commissioner, you, as the only elected official to consider preliminary land use changes within the district. Do you think this is a good approach to governing? Or would you favor the current setup of the Development Review Committee considering these land use changes before they reach the Commission?
I do not support the connected cities for a number of reasons. One, that it puts too much of the control over what happens in our county in the hands of developers, one developer in particular. I also don't support it because it takes a huge amount of our transportation funds and puts it in one area when there's such great need throughout the county. I mean, it's taking all your eggs and putting them in one basket, and I don't think that's an appropriate approach to government. And so I would not support the connected cities. And I think it's also important to point out that these developers seem to think that investing in certain candidates is going to get them the result that they want. And that's what they've always done in the past. And I think that's why people need to really pay attention as to who they're voting for and have enough care about your county to vote for people who are generally interested in what is best for the people of Pasco, not what's best for one developer in the county. And I will point out that both of my candidates have taken sums well over $5,000 to $14,000 from this particular developer. Thank you.
Mr. Oakley, same question. Do you support the connected city corridor? And do you think having the District 1 Commissioner as the only elected official to consider land use changes appropriate way to govern? Or do you favor the current setup with the DRC considering all land use changes before they reach the Commission?
I've done a lot of research on this issue. It's a big issue for our county. It deals with a lot of different aspects of a development. There's no way that I would agree for any one developer to get a better advantage over another developer in our county. I think they all should get a fair shake, and I think we've got developers out there who have been working with us for a long time. I think Metro should fall in that same order and be treated the same way. I also think that I wouldn't want them to place me as the only county commissioner answering to the people on a board that I understand has 7 people and I only have 1 vote out of 7. It's really a disadvantage for that county commissioner, and I wouldn't want to be placed in that position. But I can tell you this, I would honorably do the best job I could and make sure my voice was heard if I was placed in that position. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a good question. On Connected City, I really think there's not enough information out there to even give a decisive decision on that. I was looking forward to a meeting that was scheduled on July 25th to really give definitive information, and it was unfortunately canceled. And so I would need to have more information on how the structure of that's going to be. I have a lot of good information in CT. I appreciate it because it's coming from the newspaper. But I would like to and would need to have more information on that. If it does go, that it would be the county commission for number 1, District 1, as the official on the board, then my commitment would be that, as it would be for everyone else, I'm going to make the best decision on behalf of the county for the better good. And that will be the entire decision, again, for the better good and the best decision. And I am a facts, data, and stats woman from the business world. Therefore, I need more information to respond to that. Thank you.
Again, I find it very interesting that both of my opponents said that they would not or needed more information on the project when surely, Debbie, you've met with them several times. You've taken over $14,000 from the developers. Ron, you've taken $5,700. I can't believe that they would want to invest into someone that would say no to them.
Mr. Oakley, what do you feel is the most pressing issue in your district, and how do you plan to resolve this issue?
The most important issue in my district that's facing us after this election would be the selection of the county administrator. And I can tell you factually, I would like to be one of those county commissioners, one of 5, that chooses a county administrator that comes from a population of somewhere around 1 million people, to where he has the knowledge of where we're going in our county, that he will be able to lead us and manage our different departments and bring all of our different departments in the county to run smoothly together, and also at the same time unite 5 county commissioners to work together. If this happens, everything that we are talking about here tonight will work beautifully, because it'll all be smooth, and these departments in the county are lacking in different areas, and they need some work. They need to be straightened out and managed properly, and they haven't been lately. Thank you.
And I'm going to concur with Ron that because it's first and foremost for whoever's elected, that the county commissioner is going to be hired, and we have to be interviewed. And again, I think I mentioned in my opening statement, we quite frankly cannot get this wrong. We're at a pivotal point for Pasco and where we're going to be as a county. Again, I'm talking about quality of life currently and for future generations. It's a big job, and one of the most important things for the county commission on the table, on the plate, and why it's so important to get the right commissioner is hiring the appropriate county commissioner. Not only have I hired hundreds and hundreds of people in my career, and if you haven't hired, it's a talent and it's learned. And I have over 20 years hired, again, many hundreds of people, including executive, regional, and division presidents. And I have been through extensive national recruiting and interviewing process when I got my jobs. And so I know how to ask the questions. I've been through it. So thank you very much.
I have 5 top priorities that I think we need to focus on and that I will spend my time focusing on starting on day 1. And number 1 is creating a business-friendly strategy and reputation for our local government. Number 2 would be solving the stormwater problems so that we don't come around to election time again in 4 years and start talking about the poor people that their houses are flooding. I would like to invest in infrastructure that will improve the quality of life, our transportation challenges, and also provide better for industrial opportunities that could come our way. We need to better provide for our law enforcement, which for me, public safety is number 1. If our sheriff's department asked for 100 officers, which wouldn't be unreasonable, I would be more than happy to do whatever it takes budgetary-wise to make that happen. And I think we need to strategically plan and spend a lot more time investing into that planning for future development and future roads so that we prevent the potential problems that we're seeing right now in Pasco County.
And that thinking of choosing that county administrator and getting things running smoothly, Connect Cities is going to be one of those issues. And I can tell you and guarantee you this right now, the money I took from them that I needed to run my campaign was not to buy my soul, and I didn't sell my integrity. And I can tell you, things will be run the right way. in this county, and we didn't sell anything. Our vote is not for sale. It's for the people of Pasco County that we use our time to take and spend on what's best for the people of Pasco County. Thank you.
West Pasco benefits from the county's mobility fee plan that discounts transportation costs in urbanized areas compared to the rest of the county. It's intended to drive growth to the west side of the county and the southern tier of the county. It has been suggested that the fee should be recalculated so it's charged uniformly across the county. Do you agree with that? And if you do, how do you encourage growth and redevelopment in West Pasco if you're taking away one of the incentives?
I'm a proponent, as it is, on the mobility fees, to leave them as they are. It appears to be working reasonably well. And this is not just from me. I have spent, and again, it's part of being, as you call it, servant leader, where you're getting feedback from your constituents. I resigned my career position in November when I filed, and the reason I did that was so I could spend 50 to 60% of my time, in which I'm now spending 70, 80 hours a week, meeting with people. And what's one of the questions I've asked them, because economic development and the growth is so huge, and the job opportunities and bringing in higher level jobs is very paramount and in everybody's minds. East Pasco, when you meet with East Pasco, they do not want development. That's a rule, and that's our district. They're loud and clear. So they seem to be very happy with the way the mobility fees are situated. So for right now, until I see some other information, some other facts, the data that would tell me otherwise, I would leave it as it is. Thank you.
I would not support moving forward with the mobility fee. I believe it's more fair to have an impact fee that's across the board flat. One, I would like to see us revitalize West Pasco and US 19 and use the existing buildings that are already there for businesses that would like to come here. In East Pasco, it's simply not fair to charge 4 times an impact fee's normal fee for a business to start up in Dade City. We need jobs just as badly in East Pasco as we do in West Pasco. We need jobs in rural areas, and coincidentally, that's where a lot of industrial and manufacturing sites are going to be. I'd like to see us have a uniform impact fee across the board, and I think we would be more successful with that.
I've been studying mobility fees. That's some of the, I guess, the social world of Facebook. You get all kinds of questions. So I've spent a lot of time looking at the mobility fees. And when you look at them in our part of the county, in East Pasco, you look at a little house that's going to be built up in Trilby area, which is the northeast corner, and they charge them $35,000 to build their house there. And it's a retirement home, and it's in a pristine rural area. Very nice. But they say because he travels so many more miles to get his services, like the grocery store, to the doctor, whatever, he has to be charged more. Then when you look at the urbanization in the Wesley Chapel area, and you see they're paying $8,000, and that fee is very small. But where do you think the impact is on our roads when in the urbanization area where they charge a less fee for impact? That's where there's 1,000 cars hitting the road. That's where you're having to build 6 and 8 lanes of traffic. That's where 6, 8, 4 lanes, whatever it might be, there's where the money needs to be. So it looks like it's opposite of what it should be. I would like to do a lot more studying on it and a lot more listening to it for incentives of where to put people. And I would definitely, for business, I would give them every kind of incentive I could to bring them into the county because we need businesses. Thank you.
Do I have 30 seconds? Okay. I'm going to take my 30 seconds because someone spoke for me inappropriately, so I'm going to backtrack to Metro. My opponent mentioned that she knew that I had apparently met several times with Metro, and I just would like for people not to speak for me. That's absolutely inaccurate. I have met one time for 1 hour, and nothing at all was discussed other than what I asked them about. I'm very interested in the opportunity for the technology, and I asked them about technology. So, like Ron, my vote is not for sale, and I take offense to that. Thank you.
In the last question, each of you mentioned the fairness of the fees compared to the areas that these residents are located in. So obviously, there's still, after many years, a divided county. How do we get the east and west to work together? What would be your plan on that?
I think the biggest thing is having a board that is willing to listen to the people. Obviously, if we come from East Pasco, we don't truly understand a lot of the issues that occur here in West Pasco. And being able to spend the time and the energy necessary to educate yourself before each and every vote is important. But I don't think that there is this social divide between us. I know I spend a lot of time over here in West Pasco as well, and I've never had any problem getting along with anyone, and I think that we believe in the same values and the same vision for our county, so I don't believe that there's this terrible divide between us. I think we just need to be able to listen and work together and move forward as one.
I think we can learn a lot from what's happened in the western part of our county. We're now going into urbanization more in the central part, and the Wesley Chapel area is going strong, just like it was in the earlier years over in the Newport Richey areas and those areas. But I think you learn from how that is, some of that blight. You use zoning to take care and make sure everything's in its place, in the right place, and they have those right transitions, so we don't have so much blight. And I'd love to see sometime they turn around and redevelop an area rather than keep going out from where it is to put in a shopping center. Go back into the one that's run down and redo that shopping center. It'd be a lot better. And I'd like to see a commissioner like myself with agricultural background. I know about flooding issues. I know how to take care of them. We've had them in our area, and I've got the past history. I've been with Swiftmud, so I know what to do and take care of those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there is so again, I've spent 50, 60% of my time out meeting with citizens, constituents, business leaders, and anyone and everyone that I could possibly meet with. And it's consistently mentioned to me that there is a east-west divide. And if you mention things about East Pasco, and when you're in West Pasco, they're somewhat oblivious to it, and vice versa. One of the things we can do to overcome that is certainly be, as a commissioner, I'm going to be very hands-on, very visible, extremely accessible in all areas. And while I have a strong focus to District 1, it is one of 5 votes for the entire county. And again, I'm going to mention, as I did to begin with, I am the only candidate that has lived in West, Central, and East Pasco. Therefore, I understand the divide and the diversity of our counties. I found it interesting that Rachel mentioned that she, when being from East Pasco, she really doesn't understand West Pasco. Again, positive for me that I have lived, worked, and owned homes in all areas. Thank you.
Just to clarify, I didn't say that I didn't understand the challenges that are facing West Pasco, because as a candidate 4 years ago, and then again this time, I have walked just this time to over 10,000 houses, a large majority of those being in West Pasco. And you learn a lot more about what the people want and what the people need by going door to door and speaking with them directly, not necessarily just talking to business leaders, although I have done that too, and they are a key part of our economy and our community. So that is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we need commissioners that are committed to this job, that have the time and energy to commit to it, that don't own 8 other businesses that they need to allocate their time to, or have other vested interests.
Mr. Oakley, let's stay on the west side. Even though you reside in East Pasco, and that's your commission district, you're elected countywide, and you're expected to represent the countywide issues. So given that, can you give us your thoughts on the Harbor's redevelopment plan? What components would you like to see accomplished in the next 4 years if you're elected to the county commission?
I'd rather use the word when I'm elected county commission, but when that happens, I would like to see a lot of coming together of the new county administrator and the different county commissioners coming together and making choices for the people rather than choices. If you look back in what we've had and whether it's a recent county commissioner or if it's one that's here 30 years ago, they seem to not vote on items for our future, like when we've got parks and things of that nature that are not taken care of or maintenance not set up aside. We need to set those monies aside. We need to make tough decisions, prioritize our monies where we put them. So those areas that need to be redeveloped, we need to look at them very closely, prioritize where our monies need to go because we've got to stretch that dollar. And that's very important. Being in county commission is really making tough decisions. And county commissioners in the past, I don't believe they've ever made the tough decisions to stretch that dollar because they won't raise taxes. And I'm not one proponent for raising taxes, but our county continues to grow. And if we keep preserving some lands that we have other agencies in our county that can preserve, we need to take those monies and put in our roads and our infrastructure, go back in. By the time we build the roads, we need in East Pasco County, the 4-lane roads we need, the 4- and 6-lane roads over in the west part of the county are going to need to be resurfaced and taken care of. And we need to pay a lot of attention to those type issues because we're behind the ball. And all the urbanization and future that we've got going, we need to make sure that we're able to get the right amount of monies to take care of those roads in the future. And it's not being done now.
I just want to clarify, your question was the harbor redevelopment, correct? Okay, I want to answer to that. The harbor redevelopment, again, is actually Commissioner Starkey, you're still here, mentioned. It's a wide area. It's from county line, from Hernando County to county line to county line, and it is all about the coastal area. And so we want to really focus too, as our commissioners are, and if Commissioner Mariana is still here, that coastal area and what we can do to revitalize that and bring growth to this area. I think we have a lot of opportunities to focus on eco-friendly opportunities. Certainly, I would like to see some pedestrian and walking areas, but a strong focus to what's our hidden jewel is our waterways and our coastal areas. So there's a lot of great opportunities, and we need just a strong commission and commissioners to make that happen in the economic development for that. So thank you.
This is a gem in the community over here. It's an opportunity for high economic development. I'd like to see the full canal dredged. I'd like to invest in revitalization of the area. And I'd mostly like to work closely with our city councils. We're working with Newport Richey and Port Richey City Council, and who knows better what that community needs than them. I would like to work closely with them to create a shared vision for that area, and I really think that you could change the face of West Pasco by investing in this.
Again, we need to, like I say, prioritize what we spend those monies on. And in those areas, they need to be looked after, and we need to prioritize and take care of those issues as they come up. There's a beautiful coastal area that we have. We need to clean it up and redevelop it and use that money for that infrastructure to bring it back. The canals and the waterways that we have, they need to look at them real closely, and then, like I say, prioritize money that you're using in other areas and use it for cleaning those up. Thank you.
Ms. Wells, if elected as county commissioner, what would be your top 3 goals? Top 3 goals. as
Goals, I'm
county
sorry, I thought you said
commissioner.
roles.
No,
Okay.
goals.
Okay. Okay, my top 3 are going to come directly from my quality of life platform. So again, I'm always focused on quality of life for Pasco, for current and future generations. That's where I'm going to focus on how I'm going to vote. My top goal, I've already mentioned, because it's first and foremost, is going to be being very integral in the hiring and the interviewing process of our county administrator. Next, I think that safety and security is paramount. If we can't get to the third one, which is going to be economic development, if we can't say that we're safe and secure for our county, we have to reach out for economic development, and we need to make sure that the county is always safe and secure. I'm a huge proponent of our sheriff and our first responders. I have taken the opportunity to do 2 ride-alongs with different deputies. I've met with the sheriff and his command staff numerous times. I've been to our detention center and done a complete tour. I'm trying to be very, very informed so I can make very decisive decisions about safety and security. Again, so to answer your question, county administrator, as far as hiring, safety and security, and then economic development. It's difficult to take it to 3 because there are others that are very, very important, but those would be in that priority order. Thank you.
My top 3 goals, number 1 would be to create a business-friendly strategy here in Pasco. And first of all, that starts with staff and ensuring that we have a staff that goes above and beyond to help with business growth and development. It also includes permitting, upgrading our current existing permitting system and ensuring a smooth process and shorter application time, reviewing codes to ensure that they are consistent with the regional market, not constrictive in certain areas, create an even playing field for all businesses and developers coming here, create competitive impact fees, and offering a 1 to 3 point bid preference in county bids to support our local businesses here. Second would be to solve the flood and stormwater challenges that we're experiencing not only in West Pasco, but in East Pasco as well. These are people's life investments. We cannot put this on the back burner and continue to kick the can down the road. The third thing would be to invest in, to better provide for our law enforcement and first responders.
My 3 issues, goals that I would want to look at is, again, the first thing would be the selection of the county administrator. Picking that person that comes from a larger area than we are, that's gone through a lot of things that we need to go through to get to that million population. And choosing that right person that can manage those departments in the county. The building department has had issues, and they've actually even had to close down for 3 days. That should never have happened. Secondly, I would definitely look after our law enforcement and our first responders, make sure they have the resources they need so that we can all be safe and secure in our county. Third, we would also need to look at our areas and keep those areas like in flood that happens in West Pasco, also has in Geiger Pond in East Pasco, there was a flood issue there. Building a reservoir pond there took 1,000 homes out of the floodplain, and those homes were in Betmar Acres. But that reservoir took those out. I know how to take those out, and also in that western part of our county where they're getting flooded, and I know how to take care of it. Thank you.
I still have my 30 seconds. Just kidding. I think everyone had a good top 3 because they're all important. And it's easy just to talk about your top 3. What we need to look at is your background, your business leadership, and do you have qualifications to implement what we're talking about? And I'm going to tell you, I do. I have proven leadership and expertise in the boardroom environment and leadership skills over 20 years in executive management. So thank you.
They told us this is the final question. I want to go back to something that Mr. Oakley said, by the way. He suggests that there's other agencies that can preserve land and that we should take the land for preservation money for transportation. Now, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I presume he means reallocating the penny for Pasco. Do you agree with that? Do you think that preservation money should be spent on other topics?
Not necessarily, especially when we begin talking about with the wildlife corridors that we're going to need to implement coming soon. And those wildlife corridors are essential to our community. It's our responsibility to protect the natural resources and wildlife in this area. Also, and if you look at it from a completely personal point of view, our animal vehicle accidents annually in the nation cost $1 billion, and over 165 human deaths occur that way. So these wildlife corridors provide an opportunity for wildlife to move to different habitats in a safe way, safe for us and safe for them. So we're going to have to start purchasing land. And so I think that that's important that we do have that Penny for Pasco money available to purchase these wildlife corridors.
That was close to what I said, but not quite. But all I'm talking about is taking monies that are set aside for, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a proponent of taking away from our natural resources. I definitely want to protect them and protect them well. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And lands that need to be done. But we also have agencies, state agencies like DEP, State of Florida, Swift Mud. They protect those lands also. And working with them, we can use those dollars to help protect those lands without using our dollars here that we actually need to prioritize and use toward our roads. Collier Road is one that was brought up in the meeting, at the commission meeting the other day. It needs to be taken care of. They don't have the funds to take care of it. So that's what I'm getting at. You got to prioritize those monies so that you can put them in the right place. And we've got to keep our infrastructure built up. We just can't keep letting it just tear down without taking care of the future issues as we go along. Thank you.
I have an extensive background, again, being in the boardroom, overseeing the 4 or 5 counties with my publicly traded companies and budgets and allocations and reallocations. So for Penny for Pasco, again, from the constituents I'm meeting with, they seem to be quite pleased with Penny for Pasco. I would suggest, as I would with anything, rather than saying I'll allocate or reallocate, is what I will do as your county commissioner. I will take my extensive background in budgets, and I will look at every line item, and I will make the best decision based on what I see and what I believe to be true for quality of life. So I'm going to look at it, I'm going to use my expertise, and then I would do the appropriate thing. So thank you.
Well, since we all kind of answered that question, I'd just like to follow up with the extensive background experience that we keep hearing about from Mrs. Wells. I believe, if I'm not correct, according to her LinkedIn account, she was in new home sales for different developers, and she also managed new home sales people in that capacity. So we're not dealing with huge budgets. We're not in the boardroom with publicly traded companies. We're just in charge of new home sales. So let's be very clear about that.
Okay, we're going to go to closing statements, and you have 2 minutes, and we'll start with Ms. O'Connor, and then we'll go to Ron and Ms. Wells.
I think we all know what the challenges are that Pasco County is facing, but the question that you have to ask yourself tonight is who's going to get the job done. Never has it been more important to elect to the County Commission a person who can represent your voice, someone who will act only in the best interest of the county and its bright future, someone who will stand up when no one else will, and most importantly, someone who will serve without self-interest. For too long, our county has been run by the same people and the same families, those seeking to profit from public service. I'm not running on a name, and I'm not a multimillionaire, I'm not a land baron, I'm not looking to develop my property. I'm simply interested in the future of Pasco County. And over these past 30 years, with the same individuals and the same families in control, we have continued to struggle with the same challenges. It's time for us to move forward, and I am capable of meeting that challenge, and I look forward to the work ahead. I would like to be your voice on the Board of County Commission, and I would like to count on your voice and your vote on August 30th to help me get there. Thank you for the opportunity to serve and to share my thoughts tonight, and I look forward to earning your vote. Again, Rachel O'Connor for County Commission in District 1.
I have over 50 years of experience in different businesses, and they've all been under one company. I've never been more passionate about being a leader in this county, and I've never been more passionate about serving the people of this county. I got this love for service to people when I was with SwiftMud, when I got to be chairman of SwiftMud, and we looked after 16 counties. There's no greater honor than doing that. I didn't get paid a dime for any of that service. I took every tour. I took every advantage I could to learn more about our county and our 16-county area that we looked after. I wanted the very best for each and every county. I sat in on every meeting on flood mapping that came to Pasco County, every one of them. I went to them, I talked to the people, I was right there along with the Pasco County workers. I didn't have to be there. I didn't get paid to be there. I did it because I wanted to be there. I want to be your county commissioner. I want to serve the people of Pasco County. It's not about money to me. It's about right here in my heart. I was born and raised here. I want the very best for my children, my grandchildren, your children, and everyone from that point on. I want the very best for this county. I was asked one time about what I thought about who I represented, what special interest group I represented. And when you first think of that, it sounds very bad. And so, oh, I don't want to say I represent some special, like developers or whatever. I'm going to tell you, I thought about it. I first thought I didn't have a special interest group. I got news for you. I do have a special interest group. It's each and every one of you, and it's each and every citizen in Pasco County. I'm Ron Oakley. I want to be passionately involved in your county, and I want to be here for all of us in the future. I would appreciate your vote on August 30th, and I approve this message.
2 minutes or 3? 2. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk quick if we have 2 minutes. And while I was, vice president and senior vice president and also a director in publicly traded companies for 20 years, I found long ago, if you don't have something positive to say and you don't have good credentials or background, you always go negative, so I will leave it at that. If you are looking for somebody that has distinctly proven leadership, 20 years in the boardroom, high budgets, expertise, hiring expertise, Pasco County directly related expertise, and merely wants to take that background and give it into Pasco County for the better good. It's called, again, servant leadership. If I weren't doing it for that reason, I would have stayed in my really great career, and I would have just continued in a wonderful career. I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking to give back. You can say give back, pay it forward. I'm going to say servant leadership. I have the background, I have the experience, and I have the passion. And I'm looking forward, if you're looking for direct, decisive, and proven leadership for the better good, I would appreciate your vote on August 30th. And my name is Debbie Wells, running for Pasco County Commissioner, District 1. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here with us tonight.
All right, this concludes our debate for the evening. Thank you all very much for coming out. And a special thank you to Pasco Hernando State College for letting us be here tonight. My name is Kelly Miller. I'm representing the Chamber of Commerce, West Pasco. Special thank you to C.T. Bowen, Tina Shelton, Cynthia Armstrong, and Nora George for participating tonight, and to all the candidates. Chip. Oh, and Tim McLean for all his photography, and Web TV for being here and streaming us live. Thank you.